You cross a bridge doing 65 miles an hour. A gantry reads a sticker on your windshield, and $6.50 disappears from an account you funded 3 weeks ago. You don't feel it happens. That's the point. Every part of that transaction was designed so you wouldn't notice it, and the toll itself is the smallest thing happening in it. Toll roads pull in roughly $20 billion a year in the United States, across more than 40 states and thousands of miles of highway, bridge, and tunnel. And here's the part almost nobody clocks. The road is barely the business. What's actually being sold is a payment system, a pricing algorithm, and in a growing number of cases, a 75-year financial contract that has almost nothing to do with asphalt. Some of the busiest crossings in the country aren't even owned by the state that built them anymore. They were sold off, decades at a time, to investors who understood something about that gantry, long before you ever did. So let's take one toll apart, line by line, and follow the money to where it actually lands, because the state that built the road is often the smallest beneficiary of what happens on it. And by the end, you'll know exactly who it is. Start with the price you pay, because it is not one price. There are at least 3. A transponder EZ Pass, Sun Pass, I Pass. Whatever your region calls it gets you the cheapest rate, sometimes half of what everyone else pays. Miss it, and a camera photographs your plate instead, mailing you a bill weeks later, at a rate that can run 30 to 50% higher. Rent a car, and there is a third tier above both of those. The transponder gets bolted to your windshield, and simply opening its case can enroll you in an all-inclusive tolling plan, billed at a flat daily rate sometimes. Over $25 a day whether you cross a single toll or not, stacked on top of whatever the toll itself costs. One toll, 3 prices, and the gap between the cheapest and the most expensive can run 4 or 5 times the same physical trip across the same bridge. This is not a glitch in the system, it is the system. Every layer of friction: not having a transponder, renting instead of owning, forgetting to link an account to a plate, gets priced. The road is not really selling you a crossing. It is selling convenience, and charging you for every unit of inconvenience you fail to remove yourself. The EZ Pass user isn't getting a discount. The person without one is paying a penalty, and the agency built its entire rate card around collecting it. That's not a tease for later. It's the biggest fact in this entire industry, and it started with 2 deals a year apart, on opposite ends of the same stretch of interstate. In 2005, Chicago leased the 7-8-mile Skyway to a private consortium for 99 years in exchange for $1.83 billion upfront. A year later, Indiana leased its 157-mile toll road for 75 years for $3.85 billion. In both deals, the private operator got to keep every dollar of toll revenue going forward, in exchange for a lump sum paid today, and an obligation to maintain the road. The state got cash it could spend immediately, on budgets, on other infrastructure, on whatever a governor needed that year. The investors got something rarer, a captive customer base with almost nowhere else to drive, locked into a contract that runs longer than most of their own careers. The reframe lands here. The toll road is not a transportation asset. It is a bond, a physical, 157-mile bond, that pays a coupon every time a car crosses it, for 75 years, with built-in rate increases written into the contract, before the ink is dry. Infrastructure funds do not compete for these deals because they love asphalt. They compete because almost nothing else in an investment portfolio produces cash flow this predictable. Traffic drops during a recession, but it never goes to zero because people still have to get to work. Here's a number for you, and I actually want it in the comments. What is the worst toll surprise you've ever gotten? A rental car bill that showed up weeks later. A pay-by-plate fine that ballooned with fees. A bridge you didn't even know was tolled until the letter arrived. Give me the dollar amount, then tell me how long it took to land in your mailbox, because the delay is doing as much work here as the price. If pulling these systems apart like this is useful to you, the like button and subscribing are what tell me to keep making them. The price itself moves too, not just by which pass you're using. A growing share of American toll roads charge more when more people want to drive rush hour, on express lanes, peak pricing on managed lanes, congestion pricing zones like the one that now covers Lower Manhattan, where the fee changes by time of day and vehicle type. It is marketed entirely as traffic management, and functionally it is. Raise the price enough and some fraction of drivers choose a different hour, a different route, or the subway. But the second thing dynamic pricing does, quietly is extract the maximum amount every driver is willing to pay at the exact moment they are least willing to change their plans. Nobody rerouted their commute to work at 8:15 a.m. because the toll went up $4. They pay for it. The traffic management story is true. It is also the thing that makes the revenue management story invisible. Underneath both of these, the tiered pricing and the dynamic pricing, sits the fact that most toll roads were not built with toll revenue. They were built with debt, municipal bonds, revenue bonds backed by projected future tolls, sometimes decades before the first car ever paid one. That means the toll you pay this month is not profit, flowing to a state government. On most roads still under public ownership, a substantial share of it is debt service, paying down construction bonds floated years or decades earlier, exactly like a mortgage payment on a house nobody living pays rent to yet. The road has to earn its own construction cost back before anyone can call the toll revenue profit. And on some newer corridors, that horizon runs into the 2040 seconds and 2050 seconds. Put together, the toll road is really three financial products, wearing one identity. It is a tiered pricing system that punishes friction, no transponder, a rental car, an unlinked account with a markup few people notice, because it shows up weeks later. On an increasing number of America's busiest corridors, it is also a leased financial instrument, a decades-long bond dressed as a highway, sold once to investors who understand that traffic is one of the most reliable cash flows a modern economy produces. Underneath both of those sits a debt instrument in its own right, quietly paying down the bonds that built it long before a single dollar counts as profit to anyone. None of that makes the toll a scam. Electronic collection genuinely moves the lane faster. Congestion pricing measurably thins out rush hour. And the private operator is contractually on the hook to repave the road when it wears out. What changed is not the honesty of the system. It's that the toll road stopped being a public utility that happens to charge a fee, and became a financial product that happens to be shaped like a road. Cross a gantry tonight, and that's the number, moving underneath you. Hit like and subscribe if you want the next one opened up the same way the auto repair invoice video is a close cousin to this one, and the DoorDash breakdown belongs in the same folder. See you in the next video.